Hi, my name is Jaqelyn Vargas and I am doing the AP Calculus final project, and for that I'm going to be teaching a lesson 3.3 product and quotient rule. Two main rules that we're going to be using in this lesson 3.3. So there's the product rule, which is uv prime plus vu prime, and there's the quotient rule, which is vu prime minus uv prime all over v squared. So the product rule is the product of two differentiable functions of f and g is itself differentiable. The derivative of fg is the first function times the derivative of the second function times the derivative of the first. So the quotient rule is the quotient fg of two differentiable functions f and g is differentiable at all values of x for which x cannot equal 0. The derivative of fg is given by the denominator times the derivative of the denominator, all divided by the square of the denominator. First problem we're going to do is number 2, which is f of x equals 6x plus 5 times x cubed minus 2. So you're going to use your u as 6x plus 5. So u is 6x plus 5. And your b as x cubed minus 2. So now you find the derivative. So the derivative of 6x is 6. And the derivative of 5 is 0 since it's a constant. And you find the derivative of v. So it would be 3x squared. And negative 2 is 0. So now you use the product rule, which is uv prime plus vu prime. So you plug it in, 6x plus 5 times 3x squared plus v, which is x cubed minus 2 times u prime, which is 6. So now you solve, which is 8x cubed plus 15x squared plus 6x cubed minus 12, and you combine like terms, which is going to be 24x cubed plus 15x squared minus 12. That's your answer. Okay, so the next problem we're going to do is number 4, which is g of s equals the square root of s times 4 minus s squared. So we take a look at the problem and we see that it's going to be product rule since they're being multiplied. So you would use your u as the square root of s and your b just 4 minus s squared. But since your u is square root, you could make it easier and take out the square root and make it s 1/2. So now you can find your derivative, which would be 1/2 s minus 1/2, so it would be negative 1/2, right? So it would be 1 over 2s minus 1/2. So then your v prime, for number 4 is a constant, so it would be 0. So now you would just have to deal with this, so it's negative s squared. So you would put negative 2s, and then it's 1, so you just leave it like that. So since you're multiplying, you would use the product rule, so it's u v prime plus vu prime. So now you just plug it into your formula, which is s 1/2 times v prime is negative 2s plus 4 minus s squared times u prime. So now you would, so now what you have to do is distribute. So this would be negative 2s 1/2. And right here you could take out the 1/2, so we're gonna forget about it. We're not gonna forget about it, we're just gonna put it in the side, and we could put s negative 1/2 times 4 would be 4s negative 1/2. So now to combine the powers, you would have to use the, you're gonna multiply, right? So when you multiply, you add the exponent. So this is over 1 and it's -1/2, so you have to have the common denominator. So what you would do is you will multiply by 2, so it would be 4/2 minus 1/2, which would be 3/2. So now it would be negative s 3/2. So now you would combine them. You would combine the s 1/2. Okay, so next one I'm going to do is number 6, which is g of x equals x 1/2 sine x. Okay, so our u is going to be x to the power of 1/2, and our b is going to be sine x. So now you have to find the derivative, and the derivative of u prime, you have to bring the 1/2 in the front, and then the x 1/2 you subtract it by 1, and it would be 1/2 x negative 1 squared. So our u prime would be 1/2 x to the power of negative 1/2, and our derivative for sine x is cosine, so it's cosine x. So now since you're multiplying, you would use the product rule, which is u b prime plus v u prime. So now you would plug it in, and it's x 1/2. You take it from the u, and the v prime is cosine x, so you bring it down as well, plus the v, which is sine x, and you would multiply with the u prime, which is 1/2 x to the power of negative 1/2. And now you would just bring it together. I'm going to bring this one to the front since it's bigger. 1/2 x negative 1/2 sine x. I just distributed everything together. So now plus x 1/2 cosine x, and this would be your answer. Okay, next we're gonna do number 7, which is f of x equals x over x squared plus 1. And as you can see, now we're not multiplying it, now we're dividing it. So what I'm gonna use u as my x, and x squared plus 1 as my b. So x squared plus 1, and my u prime would be 1 since it's x, and my b prime is, okay, so then our 1 is the constant, so it would be 0. Okay, so now since we're dividing, we're going to use the quotient rule, which is b u prime minus u b prime over b squared. Okay, since you're pretty much doing the same thing, you're just plugging in the b. So like the v would be x squared plus 1, and the u prime would be 1, but you didn't even have to put the 1 since you already know it's just gonna be this, and then so on and so forth. So now we're gonna do that. We're gonna plug it in, which is x squared plus 1 times 1, but you don't have to put that, it's fine like that, minus u, which is x, and then times v prime, which is 2x, all over v squared, so all over x squared plus 1 to the power of 2, since you're squaring it. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna distribute these, so it's gonna be x squared plus 1 minus 2x squared all over x squared plus 1 2. So now you're gonna combine your like terms, which is negative 2x squared and x squared, and since it's negative, you keep the sign of the bigger value, so it will be negative x squared plus 1 over x squared plus 1 n squared. And you could just bring this to the other side to have the positive on the front, which would be 1 negative x squared all over x squared plus 1 squared. And this would be your answer. Okay, so now we're going to do number 8, which is g of t equals t squared plus 2 all over 2t minus 7. So again, we're going to use the quotient rule. vu prime minus uv prime over v squared. You have to get in the habit of saying the rule so you could memorize it, and you could easily put it into the formula. So we're going to use t squared plus 2, and for b we're going to use 2t minus 7. So now you find the derivative of each, and the derivative of u prime would be 2t, and there's no derivative for this since it's just a constant, so it would be 0, so you just leave it like that. And then for b prime it would be 2, and negative 7 is a constant, so then again it's a 0. So now you plug it into the formula. Your v is t squared, 2t minus 7 times u prime, which is 2t, minus u, which is t squared plus 2, times v prime, which is just 2, all over v squared. So 2t minus 7 to the power of 2. Now you distribute, so it would be 2t times 2t is 4t squared. 4t squared, and negative 7 times 2t is negative 14t. So now we're gonna multiply, and then we're gonna add the negative. We're gonna distribute the negative, so it would be, so we won't get confused, because I get confused sometimes too. So we would put 2t squared plus 4, and we have the negative, so we have to distribute it, so it would be negative 2t squared minus 4. So now you would put it together, and then you don't forget your denominator, 2t minus 7 over 2. So now you combine your like terms, which is 4t squared minus 2t squared, which is 2t minus 14t minus 4 all over 2t 7 over 2, and that is your answer. Okay, so now we're going to do number 11, which is g of x equals sine x over x squared. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use quotient rule, which is vu prime minus uv prime over v squared. So our u is going to be sine x, our v is going to be x squared, our u prime is going to be, the derivative of sine is cosine x, and the derivative of x squared is 2x. So now we're just going to plug it in like we did in the previous problems, which would be x squared, u prime is cosine x, minus u, which is sine x, times 2x, all over v squared, which is x squared, but since you multiply by 2 times, it would be x to the 4. So now what you would do is, so now you're gonna take this out, the 2, you can take out the 2, and it would be x and cosine x minus sine x 2x all over x cubed. So now you would combine this, or you would combine this actually. This is already done with, so it would be x cosine x minus 2 sine x all over x cubed, and that would be your answer. Okay, so now we're going to do number 12. F of t equals cosine t over t to the power of 3. So it's dividing, so we're going to use the same one. Bu prime minus uv prime over v squared. So now you're going to use your cosine t as your u. So u equals cosine t. And you're going to use your v as t to the power of 3. So now you find the derivative of each. U prime is equal to negative sine t. And v prime is 3t squared. So this might be a little confusing, so let me just show you how you did the derivative. You multiply what you have as a power, so it would be 3t, and now you subtract by 1, so it would be t squared. So that's how you got 3t squared. So now what you do is you're going to plug in the information into your formula, which is going to be v, so it's t cubed times u prime, which is negative sine t, minus cosine t times v prime, which is 3t squared, over t form, sorry, since this is, oh no, t6, I'm sorry, because you multiply t6. So now you're gonna combine the like terms, or you can also already take out your t's. You could take a look to see what's the greatest value that you could take out. Since this is a 6, the greatest value you could take out to both is t squared. So this is t squared, you look at the smallest one, so you could take out t squared, so this would make it t negative sine t minus cosine 3, right? T over t6. So now you combine them, so it would be negative t sine t minus 3 cosine t all over t4. I'm sorry, I had to change this into 4 since I took out 2 from each, so it's going to be 4. And this would be your answer. Okay, so next one we're gonna do is 13. It's f of x equals x3 minus 3x times 2x squared plus 3x plus 5. So now you're gonna, it gives you the c0. So after, when you find your product, you're gonna plug in the 0. So first we're gonna do product rule, since it's multiplying, so we're gonna separate our u and our v. Our u is gonna be x cubed minus 3x, and our v is gonna be 2x squared plus 3x plus 5. Okay, so now you do the exact thing we've been doing, but except these are a little bit longer. So u prime is 3x squared. The derivative of negative 3x is negative 3. V prime is 4x plus 3, and you don't use your 5 since it's a constant. So now if we forgot, our product rule is u v prime plus v u prime. So you plug it into your formula, which is, you're gonna put x to the power of 3 minus 3x into your u, so x3 minus 3x, and you're gonna put your v prime in this, so 4x plus 3 plus, and then your 2x squared plus 3x plus 5 is gonna go into your v, times u prime, which is 3x squared minus 3. Okay, and to multiply these two, instead of using FOIL method, since I easily get confused, so you guys won't easily get confused, I would do the box method, which is where you do 4 squares. Since you have 4, you go x cubed plus, negative 3x. You do the same to the other side right here, 4x plus 3. So now you're gonna put right here your multiplication sign, because you know you're gonna multiply 4x and x cubed. So when you multiply, you add, so it would be 4x to the power of 4. And you would do the same with 4x and negative 3x, which would be negative 12x squared, since you add when you multiply the exponents. And now 3 times x cubed is 3x cubed, and 3 times negative 3x is negative 9x. So now you would combine the like terms, but as you can see, there's no like terms. So what you would do is you would put them in order from the greatest to the least. So it would be 4x4 plus 3x cubed minus 12x squared minus 9x. So now you would do the same with these expressions, but since this one's longer, you would put that one in the top right. So it would be 2x squared plus 3x plus 5. So they're gonna be 3 squares going down, 1 2 3, but this one still has 2, so you would still do 2 for this side. So it would be like that. So now we would do the same. We would multiply 3x squared times 2x squared is 6x to the power of 4, since you're adding the exponents. So now you would do 3x squared times 3x squared, which would be 9x to the power of 3, since you're adding the exponents again. So then now what you would do is 3x squared times negative 15, or negative 5, I'm sorry, negative 5 plus 5 actually. So 5 times 3x squared is 15x squared. And you would do the same thing to the bottom. So negative 3 times 2x is 6x squared. Negative 3 times 3x is negative 9x. Negative 3 times 5 is 15. So you would combine the like terms. So you only have 6x squared and 15x squared that are like terms. So you would have, you would still do it the same way. You would still put the greatest first, so it would be 6x4 plus 9x3, and this the x squared is the one that you have both of them. So 15 plus 6 is 21, so it's gonna be plus 21x squared plus 21x squared plus 21x squared plus minus 9x plus 15. So now you would combine both of these together. So let's move it over here. 4x4, we're just gonna move this down to have it going the same way. Negative 12x squared minus 9x plus, okay, so now we're gonna combine our like terms. So I'm gonna square the 4's. I'm gonna underline the x to the power of 3. I'm gonna circle the x squared, and I'm just gonna leave the negative 9 and the 15 alone, so I could already see what I'm doing. So 6x4 plus 6 to the 4 to the power of 4 is gonna be 10x to the power of 4. So now 3x cubed plus 9x cubed is 12x cubed. So now negative 12x plus 21x is it is gonna be 9. It's gonna be 9. Negative 9x squared minus negative 9x, and negative 9x is, this is actually positive, is 16x, negative 16x, 18x, sorry, plus 15. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, since remember we have our c in the top, c equals 0, we're gonna put our c into our x. So 10, 0, 4 plus 12, 0, 3 plus 9 0 squared minus 8 times 0 plus 15. So we shouldn't even worry about these because they're obviously going to be 0 either way. So then our answer is going to be 15. That's going to be our answer. Okay. So now we're going to do number 14. It's a similar problem to this one. So it's going to be f of x equals x squared minus 2x plus 1, x cubed minus 1, c equals 1. So as you can see, we're multiplying again, so we're going to use uv prime plus vu prime. So we're going to use x squared minus 2x plus 1 as our u, x squared minus 2x plus 1. Our v is going to be x cubed minus 1. So now we need to find our derivative. Our derivative of u is going to be 2x minus 2. And our derivative of v is going to be 3x squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in our u and our v into our equation. Formula. Sorry. So x squared minus 2x plus 1 as our u. V prime is going to be 3x squared plus v, which is going to be x cubed minus 1 times 2x minus 2. So we're going to do the box method again. Oh, it's actually going to be 3 squares for this one. So it's going to be x squared minus 2x plus 1 and 3 squared. You just need 1 actually. So it's going to be 3x to the power of 4 since you add your exponents. And then it's going to be negative 6x cubed since you add your exponents again. And it's going to be 3x squared. So you're going to have that plus whatever you get for this one. We could do our box method. We could have 4 since they're both out of 2. So it's going to be 2x minus 2 and x cubed minus 1 times. So x cubed times 2x is 2x to the 4th power. X cubed minus 2 is negative 2x cubed. Negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 2. So we don't have any like terms, so we're just going to do what we did earlier. We're just going to put the biggest ones in the front. 2x to the power of 4 minus I noticed something. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive. So this is going to be negative 2 cubed minus 2x plus 2. Okay, so now we're going to do 5. We're going to combine our like terms. So it's going to be 5x to the power of 4 and negative 6. And negative 2 is negative 4x cubed minus 3 squared, since there's no like term on this side, minus 2x plus 2. So now we're going to go to our top, and since our c is 1, it's going to be 5, 1, 4 minus 4, 1, 3 minus 3, 1 squared minus 2, 1 plus 2. So we're going to get 5 minus 8 plus 3 minus 2 plus 2, and we could take these out, and negative 3 plus 3 equals 0, and 0 is your answer.